Now I know CW has a lot to say about the Bucks, so let me set the table, and I'm gonna allow him to eat. So last night, the Milwaukee Bucks played the Utah Jazz, and there's a specific clip that I'm sure he's going to put up where they are getting beat down by the Jazz, and at the end of the fourth quarter, Giannis pulls a vintage LeBron card and walks completely out of the game, out of the arena before the game is over. Now the Bucks have been up and down this season. Obviously very disappointing on the defensive end, which I've been saying for the majority of the year. In the last 10 games, they're 5-5, so they've been pretty mid. Even though Giannis has played well, in that game against the Jazz, Damian Lillard did not play well at all, shooting 5 for 18. I want to make a quick point that Damian Lillard's shot selection, when he's on, cannot miss. And in his shots, the level of difficulty that the shots that he takes, I mean, you would think he's out there at a YMCA. Like, he's just pulling. And when it's not going in, it really hurts them. And they're already challenged defensively. So when you throw in a couple long bombs, and then other teams, because the pace of play in this league is ridiculous. You throw them long bombs at ill-advised times, contested at that, going in the other end where they're already defensively challenged, it's hard to overcome some nights. And this is one of those nights. He just couldn't find his shot, and they paid for it. And they got good contributions from everybody, except for Dame and maybe Jay Crowder to a lesser extent. But if Dame showed up that night, they win, and Giannis probably doesn't walk off. But I'm going to let CW get in and let him have his... I set the table for him, so now it's time to eat.
Okay, well, video messing up aside, I just got to... Giannis is one of probably my favorite players right now, currently in the NBA. And I root for Giannis every season. Even though I'm not a Bucks fan, I root for Giannis and the Bucks, really, because I've seen him come from that little skinny kid in 2013 into the beast he's become, and just him being kind of a raw, there's no flash or flare to him. He's just out there to get buckets and to win games. And he's shown that. He's, to me, always been selfless and all about the team, and, very humble. But for the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, we've seen a little shift in that, where he's, I'm not going to say that he's changed, but he's exerting some diva-like attributes when he gets on the court and off the court. And it seems like he's gotten pretty much 2 coaches let go in a short span of time. One even brought them a championship. So, why would you get rid of someone like that? But just the whole walking off the court thing, which LeBron's done, but I'm gonna say it like this: LeBron's earned that, because LeBron is one of the top 5, 10, obviously 5 greatest players of all time. So he's shown you, he's 4 championships in, multiple MVPs, multiple finals MVPs, have the most points all time. He's earned his spot to say, hey, I'm done with this. I'm going to the bag. But you're closing in on top 5 power forward, but you need to pump the brakes a little bit. Don't start being a diva when you're only 1 championship in. Yeah, you got 2 MVPs, which is admirable. 1 finals MVP, but compare that to Tim Duncan, who is the greatest power forward in the NBA history. Now, in year 11, Tim Duncan was 4 championships in, 2 MVPs in, like Giannis, but 3 finals MVPs in. And he had pretty much solidified his career just in that time frame. And he wasn't done yet. He added another championship and other accolades for still getting all defense. So, Giannis, I'm gonna need you to, I don't know what it is going on. I don't know if, somebody's on social media or somewhere is, got you your head somewhere, but you're gonna have to come back down to earth. You're not LeBron James, who's earned that. You're not Michael Jordan. You're not Kareem. Those guys, they can do that. Jokic can't do that, and he's one of the greatest out there. Embiid can't do that. Kevin Durant can't do that. Steph can't do that. Giannis, you got to come back down to earth. You're one of the greatest. You're one of the greatest in the current NBA era, in the current NBA. But you've always shown that you're team first, and doing that shows that there's something that you deep down have going on, and I need for you to fix that, because y'all won't win anything if that's going to be your mentality going forward. If you're going to walk out on the troops, and the troops are going to walk out and leave you hanging when you need them the most. So you better get it together quickly. I understand Doc came in and all of 1-3, but patience is a virtue. You saw what happened with the Clippers. They start off terrible with James Harden. Look at them now. Their last 30 games, 25-5. They're, I think, one game out of first place in the West. So, I know you're a passionate player, but come on, you got to, get it together, Giannis. So rant over.
I'm gonna give you some pushback. All right.
There's no pushback.
To Giannis's credit, what was he saying going into this summer before the season started? He was consistent. We need to be better, or I'm out. And he was consistent about that from basically up until the end of the postseason, all the way until where we are now, or the start of the season, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So they sold him on the idea that Damian Lillard was going to come there and help him deliver a championship. Had the whole, new identity. They're kind of shifting from the defensive-minded team to an offensive-minded team. Modern era, top defensive teams obviously are the forces to be reckoned with. Was told from the Bucks that they were going to, acquire Dame, and this was going to be their push into getting him over the hump. After the embarrassing loss to Miami, they just couldn't score, and they relied on Giannis heavy. Even though he just had to come back from injury, he had to rush to get back on the floor for his team, and he gave them all he could handle. But it was too much inconsistency from Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton. They needed a bona fide scorer who can put the ball in the hole. And that's what Damian Lillard is here to do. But even he at times can be very inconsistent. His shot selection can be very, very suspect. And obviously he gives you no help on the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Giannis and I'm saying this is the person that y'all brought to help me out, because Middleton, this is like my brother. If I'm Giannis, he's like my brother, but he's not giving me what he used to give me. Right? I'm 29. I'm not 24. Right? I got the leverage here. And, if he's going to have some diva-like traits that you continue to say, I think it's him being consistent. If you, like I said, if you look at the offseason to where we are now, he's saying if the Bucks are not championship level, he's out the door. And he's just showing them each night, this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. Mm-hmm. But you guys keep tripping over these hurdles. It's not very good. It doesn't look good for me, because I'm going to take all the blame when people like Damian Lillard or Middleton, they don't show up. It's all going to fall on my shoulders. And that's what, to your point, it's fair. He is the best player on that team. He's going to take the blame. And he's going to get all the credit if they win. Right? Yep. And I get that. Yep. But I don't want to vilify him for, acting out, because this is exactly who he's been since the end of last season. And this is just what it is. Obviously, do you want to send that message to your team, to, your fans? Probably not. But at the end of the day, he's human. And when just watching a basketball game, I get upset. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine playing especially against the Jazz, because the Jazz, they've embarrassed the Bucks. The last few times they played, especially the solid team. They are a solid team, but nobody's saying that they're better than the Bucks. No. But they consistently on the Bucks home floor make them boys look silly. And that's a problem. They don't have an all-star level guy. Maybe you throw in Lauri Markkanen on a good day, but like that team is just a bunch of solid players playing, in a system that works for them. And yet Milwaukee cannot overcome them. If I'm Giannis, again, that's concerning to me because this isn't even a playoff team we're losing to. Like we can barely we can't even beat the Pacers.
We were down. I mean, they were down 2 starters, so you can't take that and say, "Hey, this is who we are against the Jazz without 2 of your main players." And I understand that, and I understand Giannis is very passionate about winning. He wants to go down as a champion. He doesn't want the participation trophies. He don't want those little accolades. He wants the big stuff. So I get that, but like you said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So we're a little bit over halfway. They can iron out. They just changed coaches. They're only a 4-game sample size. So there's going to be some growing pains. Just be patient. This is what he wanted. He wanted to add that scoring punch. So with that, you have to take the good with the bad. And there's some bad in that their defense isn't very good. And that's why we're headed into trade deadline season. Their management, they're going to have to look at the names out there, the teams that are, look at the analytics, look at who they could realistically, trade somebody for, maybe trade a Jay Crowder and get, maybe a couple decent younger guys. They just need some youth out there. I think that's their biggest problem. They're old. And that's bad to say, but Giannis is only 29 years old, which isn't old, not even basketball old, really. But they're an old team. And they're just a step slower. And even if Drew Holiday had stayed, Drew Holiday's doing well with the Celtics, but he's not, lighting it up and killing it. He's just surrounded by some complementary players and Derek White and Jalen and Tatum. So they kind of covering up some of his deficiencies. But I think Giannis just needs to be a little more patient. We thought, and that's how it always goes, that Dame would come in and they'd immediately win 82 games and never lose. But that's just not how it is. That's not the reality. We've seen, when LeBron got AD, they had their struggles. When, KD KD really didn't have no struggles going to the Warriors because the Warriors were already that good that KD could have not played and they still would have made it to the finals probably. So, that was a little different. But, so he's just got to be patient. But like I said, I don't like that trend of him kind of pushing people out of Milwaukee. I mean, yes, he is the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is the Bucks right now. That's his organization. That's true. But when you start pointing fingers elsewhere all the time, then some of the finger points going to go to you because you are a part of that team.